I have the A by Arras sparkling wine coming from Tasmania down under. This is a non-vintage sparkling wine. Look at this beautiful color. And this is a rosé, but it is a pale salmon-hued rosé coming from the three grapes that we know to be famous in Champagne: Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier. So let's talk about this wine and how it came to be, because this is a very exciting bottling that just landed for the first time in the United States. It's a winery that I've been very excited about for a long time, but it's not something that a lot of people know about. And so when I learned from their importer a few months ago that they were bringing in a more accessible non-vintage cuvee, I was all ears. I was like, say less. I want all of it. Let me know what the situation is. So it just landed really in just a few months ago. And so we're some of the first people in the country to have this. So cheers to that. This is a sparkling wine made in the champagne method. So it's going to go through secondary fermentation in the bottle, just like you would see in champagne. It is a wine that sits on the lees, on tirage, for 30 months. This is a long time. This is going to allow it to pick up some of those round, sort of toasty flavors. And then it's also going to be aged additionally another 12 plus months longer before it's released. So we're talking about from the time that those grapes are harvested to when it's bottled, about 4 years. Now, I mentioned that this is a non-vintage cuvee. Previously, House of Arras really focused on vintage sparkling wines. So this is going to be a combination of many different vintages as opposed to coming from one particular vintage, a very common practice in other places like Champagne. Now, why am I so excited about this wine? Well, I think Tasmania is one of these slept on places for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, which, as I just mentioned, are two of the primary components of this wine. And the reason I think it's slept on is I have been tasting some of these Tasmanian Chards and Pinots for the last few years and been absolutely blown away. In fact, I did a blind tasting with several sommeliers from all over the country years ago, in which we were all of us, I would say 95% of the room, was a big room, 95% of us all swore up and down that the wine in our glass was Burgundy, and it wasn't. It was the Toll Puddle Tasmanian Chardonnay. So ever since then, I've been long on Tasmania, very excited about this. And this was a wine that my friend Mark Davidson introduced me to years ago when I was sourcing wines for the Aspen Food and Wine Classics. So getting back to the task at hand, let's talk about what's in this glass. And I mentioned the color already, really pale, still, of course, a rosé, but kind of reminds you of something like Bill Carsamon, right? That really lovely, pale sort of salmon hue. On the nose, you're picking up some of that great berry, but there's also something a little bit more savory under here. And I think a lot of that is coming from the time on the lees that this wine spent. Remember, I said 30 months for that. As this wine warms up, as it starts to open, I really think you're going to get a lot out of it, but don't be alarmed if you're sticking your nose in the glass and you're like, I'm not getting a whole lot right now. It's completely normal. This is a young wine, and it's a wine that is very cold right now. You can see all of the frost on the glass, the condensation on the glass. So let's taste it. This is why I've been so excited. It's giving me these really tiny, fine bubbles. The brightness is there, the lift is there, but then that sort of fruity, savory juxtaposition that was on the nose is translating on the glass. So to me, this is something for someone who really loves champagne, but maybe likes it from a riper vintage or likes a slightly more fruity style. This is something for someone who maybe prefers California sparkling, right? Because it's giving you a lot of ripeness, but you're getting that great acidity and backbone and structure to kind of bolster it, which I really love. In terms of what we're eating with this, how we're enjoying this wine, this is a wine that I think you could definitely take to a party and have a lot of people really confused about where it's from, because it doesn't necessarily scream one particular place, but it does give you all of the quality that you associate with the premium regions like Champagne. I also love like that savory sort of thing on the end of there is this like white button mushroom kind of like edging into like almost a truffly character. I just love it so much. It's really perfect for fall. I think it's giving me a lot of the flavors that I want for fall. So if you're thinking about how to enjoy this, obviously I'm never mad at some sparkling on its own. But as we're, getting into football season, I wouldn't be mad at a bucket of fried chicken with this. I would be real okay with that, in fact. If you wanted to go with something a little bit more elevated, so to speak. You could definitely do this with some great grilled salmon. You could do it with a salad. You could even do this with a white sauced pasta. So if you had something that was kind of rich and decadent in the way of like a carbonara, that would be an excellent way to go. But if you just want to sip and just enjoy, I think this is a fantastic wine to do it with. I hope your first trip down under, if it is your first trip to Tasmania, is a pleasant one. And please let me know if you like it. Cheers.